Hi, I'm here today with Anastasia Pavlova from Marketo, and we're here to talk about beyond customer acquisition, so thinking beyond just doing demand gen activities, how we actually drive upsell and cross-sell and expansion opportunities with our customers. So thanks for joining us, Anastasia. How are you doing today?
My pleasure.
Great.
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So we'll get started. I know you have kind of a unique role at Marketo where you actually get to look across kind of a broad set of activities from actually generating demand into kind of that post-sale activities around cross-sell, upsell, and consumption and focusing on customer lifetime value. So can you just kind of talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's kind of unique.
Sure. Yes, I'm very privileged in some ways because I run two demand gen teams at Marketo. One team is focusing on driving new logo acquisition, so essentially going after new customers. And then the other part of the team is focusing on customer retention and cross-sell and value realization. So in a way, I'm involved in the whole customer life cycle and influence demand gen activities across the entire life cycle.
Once we've acquired a customer, because we spend a lot of time on thinking about demand gen and how we acquire a customer, but once we have that existing customer base, what are the next steps that we should think about?
Well, that's a great question, right? And very often companies really kind of toss that customer over to other teams and then don't really think about the customer needs and successful onboarding and enablement. And so we at Marketo actually realigned a lot of our internal teams and organizations to really put the customer at the center, right? So what we do is really we think about customer needs along the entire customer journey, right? So post-immediate sales, it's really about successful enablement and onboarding, and so marketing plays a critical role in this.
So in a SaaS world, software as a service, where the switching costs have become so much lower, how do we think about marketing to drive consumption and usage of our products? I know this is kind of what you were just hinting at a little bit.
Right.
And then make sure that we're driving retention, lowering churn, and driving that loyalty ultimately.
Right. So again, it's very important to understand what products customers have and where there's an opportunity to kind of measure their usage of those products and solutions. So we use, in addition to our platform, we use a customer success platform that gives us this usage information, right? And so when we understand that usage levels for critical features kind of drop lower, that's an opportunity for us to engage with the customer, and we can do that in a variety of ways, running adoption nurture programs, right? Or inviting customers to certain webinars or workshops. Events like this are great opportunity for us to get together and group people with similar needs so that we can educate them.
Got it. Awesome. That's great. And then how do we measure the influence of marketing on actual revenue? And do we need to think about this differently for post-sales marketing activity versus just driving pure demand gen for new customer acquisition?
Well, that really kind of starts with the goals, right? So it depends what you want to measure and what point in time. So if we're talking about cross-sell, for example, right, we're part of the revenue team, right? And this being part of the revenue team means you're all focused on driving revenue, right? And so understanding what sales quota our sales teams carry and kind of aligning to that, and then mapping our program so that they drive revenue, they drive the wins, they drive opportunities, and then marketing and sales qualified leads. I mean, that's really important. It's important to also to align incentives to make sure that we're all on the same page. For example, you know, my team and I, we're comped on opportunity and pipeline creation, which means that there is a really good alignment between our programs and the needs of our sales organization.
Are you guys also compensated on usage?
On driving usage, right. So there's a lot of alignment with the customer success teams.
So you really make sure that the sales and marketing team are incentivized from an actual comp standpoint to drive the exact behaviors you want.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
It sounds very straightforward, but it's something we don't see a lot of people do.
Very few companies do it this way, absolutely.
Great.
But it's all, I mean, the alignment is all about aligning internal teams around the customer and their needs, right? So many companies talk about that, and very few companies do that. And so, again, Marketo, in addition to the fact that customer love is one of our core values, Marketo actually reorganized the internal organizations to focus on the customers. And when we're talking about this handoff between the initial sale, initial acquisition, all the way to customer enablement, and then adoption, retention, and cross-sell, all the teams that are involved in the cycles are now belong to the same organization and the same group, so that there is alignment. And salespeople who were responsible for the initial acquisition and initial customer purchase, they stay longer with that customer, making sure that customer expectations are met, and they really hold the customer's hands and work very closely with the enablement and services teams to ensure that the customer is successful.
Awesome. And then do you guys have a standard approach that you use or that you see being successful to drive, first obviously acquiring the customer, but then driving that upsell and cross-sell opportunity?
We don't start introducing cross-sell products to customers until they're 6 months after the initial acquisition. There is data that's backing up our decisions,
Sure.
right? And we want to make sure that the customer is successfully adopting the core functionality of our platform before we start introducing additional products for them. And we really use the product interest data. So that's kind of one of the really interesting pieces about Marketo and our platform, is that we can measure not only the usage, but we can measure the interest in any given product and solution. So once we have indicators, behavioral data, right, that a customer is really interested in a certain product, like web personalization, for example, if they start downloading the content, if they start attending webinars or workshops on web personalization, that gives us indication that there is potential product interest, and that's when we get the sales teams engaged.
Okay, and then you have the 6-month kind of threshold because that's typically where you've seen that take place, based on your data.
6 months time frame is really probably the minimum amount of time when most companies kind of take to onboard and successfully adopt a lot of core Marketo features. And of course, some companies move much faster and others move much longer. Again, there's differences between SMB and enterprise companies here.
Awesome. Well, I think you hit on a lot of really great points. So can you just recap kind of the 3 top takeaways that marketers and even sales organizations should think about in terms of what they do after they acquire a customer?
Right, so first of all, I think it's important that companies just think beyond acquisition, right? Because it really, it takes 10 times more to acquire a customer than to retain one. So companies that focus just on acquisition, they really leave money on the table. It's important for companies to kind of understand customer needs and align their internal organizations and processes around the customer, right? And you're going to hear a lot about that kind of theme here at the summit, and making sure that, again, marketing is uniquely positioned these days to kind of lead the customer journey throughout the life cycle.
Awesome. Well, these are great tips. Thank you to Anastasia for joining us during a busy week for you. We really appreciate it. And then hopefully these tips help you get started on thinking about how you actually drive post-sale usage and consumption and those cross-sell and upsell opportunities. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.